President Trump is back at the White House today, where he will mark Black History Month despite his administration's moves to gut diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. He made his way back to Washington after speaking at a forum in Miami last night, where he doubled down on his plans to cut the size of the federal government and claimed taxpayers could see some of the potential savings.
There's even under consideration a new concept where we give 20% of the DOGE savings to American citizens and 20% goes to paying down debt, because the numbers are incredible.
The Internal Revenue Service is the next agency to face downsizing. A government email says more than 6,000 IRS employees will be let go by the end of this week. I want to bring in CBS News White House reporter Willie James Inman. Willie, we are obviously in the middle of tax season. What is the Trump administration saying about these layoffs and the timing?
Yeah, that's right, Lindsay. In fact, I've already filed my tax return, and a lot of Americans, millions of them, are perhaps looking to do the same, either online or by filing their tax return via the mail, sending that paper form in. But the White House is saying that these workers that are being fired, being let go by the IRS, were, quote, were not deemed as critical to filing season. That's important to point out, because the White House says that they're not only cutting at agencies like the IRS. This is perhaps one of the largest cuts in terms of the amount of workers being affected so far. They're making cuts really across the board at the Department of Agriculture, the Centers for Disease Control, the National Institutes of Health, other agencies being affected by these cuts. And Kevin Hassett, one of the top economic advisors for the president, essentially saying that this is part of that effort to downsize the federal government. And the president, his officials are repeating that claim that the Americans could potentially see these savings not only for the government, but also in their checkbooks, in their pockets, come down the line. But that would, of course, need to be approved by Congress in some type of reconciliation bill. So it's unclear if Americans will actually see those direct payments, but it's certainly something that the White House is considering, Lindsay.
Willie, ahead of all of us, no surprise there in filing his taxes already. So let's talk about this. Trump backed the House Republicans' budget plan, which includes Medicaid cuts. That plan is different from the Senate Republican proposal. Why is that significant?
Yeah, it's really significant because President Trump has previously said that he wouldn't touch Medicaid or Medicare. Now, Medicaid, it's important to distinct the two health insurance plans. Medicaid helps those less fortunate Americans, disabled Americans. Some 79 Americans use this program that has millions, billions, I should say, that backs us some $880 billion. But the House resolution looking to cut some $880 million from that Medicaid budget to trim down to some savings there that could potentially be passed on in tax cuts. The plan really just has to be worked out, but it's noteworthy because President Trump has said both things before, and those two sides, the House and the Senate, need to come together to have some type of bill that the president will be able to sign into law. So not a done deal yet, but noteworthy because the president is mentioning or throwing his support behind these potential cuts, Lindsay.
Willie James Inman, thank you.